So this program, the Lunch and Learn program, is a terrific one that really fills a need in our community. We have many young people who during the summer months really don't have many places to go. And the Lunch and Learn program provides a free summer camp for young people in order to keep up with their math and reading skills. And the thing I think they enjoy the most is learning how to swim. This program is very much about our community. It was started by members of the community who saw a need that young people needed someplace to go during the summer months when school's not in session. We have many volunteers in the community who come and who help the students with their math and reading. Some teachers who are off for the summer or retired teachers give their time. And then we have young people in the community who work as counselors and mentors to the young people.
The kids from the beginning, most of the kids I knew them from after school program, and just very few. And they're very good kids. They're enthusiastic about being here. In fact, when we asked them, how do you like being here? They said, I'm glad we had Lunch and Learn, because if we didn't have it, we would have been bored in the house.
The program is great. The kids are learning instead of being at home during the summer. We have a structured program for them from the time they come in the morning. They have breakfast. Once breakfast is over, they come into the classroom. We talk about social skills, how to get along with one another. We use the Second Step program that the county uses, so they're kind of familiar with it. It's a social skills program to teach them things like not bullying, just how to get along with each other.
We have learning math, science, reading, and how to swim. Like we learn how to dive on the deep end, like on the pool. And before we went there, we had to practice like on the shower land. And over there, we swam and practiced, and then it was time for test, and then we did the test, and then we went to the deep end.
We went to the computer lab, and you get to play games. You get to play games there. So when some of the games that people like was Roblox.
So this year, I've been charged of serving the campers their breakfast and their lunch. I arrived here at 7 o'clock in the morning to receive the food truck to bring the breakfast and the lunch that has been ordered for the day. And I'm always here early. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get here, and the kids come in, and once they're here, they line up. They come through the cafeteria that way, and they get in line, and I serve them their breakfast, and they come out and sit down and eat. Then I have reports that I have to do that we send to the county, and I'm responsible for that. And then come lunchtime, we do the same thing again. Some days they have peanut butter and jelly, and like today they had submarine sandwich. I have some here because it was also a pizza day, so they didn't want their submarine sandwiches. So they had their submarine sandwiches. They had some sliced apples. That when the campers, if they don't want it, then they can just put it here, and if anyone else wants to come up and get it, then they can. So because today was pizza day, so we have a lot of sandwiches on the table that they didn't want because they wanted the pizza. But yes, it's the food is all well balanced, and everyone does like. We haven't had any complaints yet.
I enjoy being with the kids and like experiencing being a teacher and everything like that. And like I enjoy swimming. Sometimes I teach the kids how to swim, and like and I have fun swimming too. And like while doing this and having fun doing this, I get SSL hours, which I need for school.
I've been coming to this camp for 3 years, and I mostly enjoy math. I enjoy going to the pool and the gym and meeting all my friends from school. Especially I love science because I learn a lot of things that I haven't been learning in school. I already knew how to swim, but I improved more coming here. We learned multiplications, we learn adding and minusing, and they challenge us, and it makes us better and better.
I've been coming here for 3 years, and I learned how to swim and like go to the deep end and stuff.
I know a lot of people here from school, like half of the whole people, and some I knew because they're my friends since I moved to America. The camp has changed, it's getting better and better each day. So I'll tell them that they should come and visit it too.
I enjoy the gym, the classrooms, and the computer lab. I learn a lot of math and writing.
To eat lunch, we go back to my class and play games. My toys game. To science and do math and do senses. And going outside and play soccer. And I want to play football.
I help in the classroom, just assisting the teacher, helping the kids out with math and reading. I love how they get better at things like swimming. That's a big thing. Academically as well, they get better at reading, writing, math through the teaching almost every day. Yeah.
I've been coming here for 5 years now, and what I like about the camp is helping the kids out and helping the staff out as well, and going swimming and playing basketball. We learn how to be leaders in today's society and how to carry ourselves as we become adults.
I've been coming here for 6 years now, and I have been helping kids and staff and helping at the pool and other things. I like helping the kids learn, and I like cleaning up in the lunchroom, and I like swimming. The benefit of the doubt will go to them because we don't have to pay, they don't have to pay anything for this camp, and this camp pays a lot to have us, and they teach us a lot.
I love playing basketball with my friends, swimming. I usually help out swimming with the counselors and the staff. I actually learned how to swim here. The first year I came here, I didn't know how to swim, and then now I'm an advanced swimmer, and now I'm a helper.
I've been coming to camp for 5 years, and I experienced a lot. I've seen change every year throughout the years. First year, we didn't have swimming. We didn't have, the camp was a little shorter, but now, we're engaging, we're becoming more advanced, doing more things, and the kids can have more fun. I remember the second year of Lunch and Learn, we learned how to break apart a computer and build it back again. And then when we went to the pool, we learned how to swim, dive, do different things with the kids and stuff. I've been in leadership for 3-4 years. It's been really good. We learned different things about history, Black history and stuff. It's just nice. I like helping Ms. Doris, Ms. Jackie a lot in the office, and wherever I'm needed, I'm there to help.
I've been coming here for 4 years. I love this camp. It's been a part of my life for a long time. I've made new friends here. I've met old friends. I've learned so much from this camp. I can't wait to come back next year.
I would recommend you come to the camp because it's a lot of fun and you earn a lot of hours at the end of the day, which help you graduate. And then you have fun with your friends, and it's just a good experience.
Yeah, it's a great camp. It's a lot of fun, happy nature, friendly people all around, and overall just a great camp.
This camp is very helpful on helping you become a good leader, and it's worth helping kids out as well.
When I go back to school, I tell my friends how I become a teacher here, while I'm taught, and I become a teacher here. So I help other kids. I help the teacher. I assist the teacher, and that experience was really good. And
It's benefiting the kids because it's a continuation. If they had been in the whole summer at home without any structured, at least guidance, it would be difficult for to catch up during school year, the regular school year. So for the parents, I said, it's a good program. Come back, enroll them again next year.
Each year, the need is greater than what we can provide for. And I hope over the next couple of years we can find more funding for the Lunch and Learn program in order to expand it to help more young people, as well as expand it longer into the summer, because as of right now the program doesn't go into August, and so I'd like to look into the future and to see how we can expand the program.
So my father was a photographer, and he had because he was a teacher and we didn't have a lot of money, he started taking wedding photos. And I started going with him then and moved on to different things, as you can tell from my work. I started taking street art when we were in London many years ago, and I stumbled on Banksy. And I just loved the sense of humor and the political aspects of his work. So after that, I started paying more attention to what was going on around me and was able to discover more artists and more different expressions of work. And it's easy with the camera. You can just stick it in your purse or your bag or whip out your phone.
I started to do photography a really long time ago, back in the 80s when I was still in school, and I actually majored in photojournalism in the 90s. And I didn't start this series until 2005, and so it was a few years after I moved to DC, and I kind of got out of touch with photography. I wasn't inspired, so I didn't know what to do, and I just, for the heck of it, took my Holga camera out. And that's what I use for this series. And I started making pictures, and I started deliberately overlapping the images in the camera just to do something different.
I started when I was very young. I was a painter and a printmaker. I started ceramics, which is what you're seeing here, in the early 90s. So that's been about 25 years. I did etchings and I did paintings until I got to Washington, D.C. when I began to do ceramics, and I have stuck with it since then.
I did some drawings and stuff when I was younger. I liked doing a lot, and but then when I was a teenager, I started picking it back up. I met some people that encouraged me and said I was really good at art, and I didn't think so. I didn't really care about art that much. I was into skateboarding a lot, and then they sort of opened up my eyes, like maybe I can do this, and then started doodling, doing some drawings for fun, and then saw a video about Jean-Michel Basquiat, however you say that, and then I realized maybe I could go paint, do big paintings. So then I kind of kept going, and then I went through some phases, and when I was 21 or 22, then I started really diligently doing detailed work on larger pieces. So there's like some pretty big gap, like increments of time that go in between some of those, but so yeah.
Because I photograph other people's work, I don't really want to just like be a Xerox machine and copy it. So when I go through and look at this stuff, I try really hard to pick out elements of it or details and create my own art, if you will, based on theirs. So it's sort of an interpretation of what they've already created. And I include a lot of dumpsters, people who are walking by, a lot of weeds or grass or the sky or parts of the building itself. A lot of it just depends on where it's at. You can tell when I'm taking a photograph of something that's in a back alley because there's usually at least 3 dumpsters in the picture, which adds some color. We started traveling internationally about 4 years ago, so I've got a lot of photos from places in Reykjavik in Iceland, which is kind of totally crazy stuff. And then we visited friends in Cape Town in South Africa, and that's a whole nother style and a whole nother focus, if you will. And then some in Lisbon and Morocco, which was our latest trip. And then a lot of stuff in the United States based on some of the places we've gone because of my husband's work or travels that we've got for visiting family. And they're all different. And that's the best part for me, at least, because I'm a big walker, so is the rest of my family. So when we go someplace, we have like 3 places we want to see, and then after that it's just roaming around. So when I'm roaming around, sometimes it's kind of fun to create this sort of scavenger hunt for things that are in places you wouldn't normally go to. So you can find some amazing places that are very interesting or a little edgy, or like, I will never go back there again in my life, but there's always something right around the corner. Some of them are huge. I've got some pictures here that are just small bits and pieces or details of a much larger building. Someone was just describing her as a Mona Lisa, which is a 3-story building, and that's great. But I also love the tiny little stuff that you find on fire hydrants and telephone poles and doors, or in broken windows. There'll be a little thing in the corner. So it's kind of all over the place. And sometimes there's graffiti within the graffiti, which is even more fun, because it's like, oh, this second message of whatever it was that was going on. I like things that are a little off bubble. There are some murals that you see and people really admire, but to me they're a little too sweet or nice, and I find them uninteresting. So when I go and try to, when I go and look for work or try to take a photograph of it and interpret it, I try to create something that's a little edgy or makes kind of a statement. So sometimes it's hard because you've got what you have to work with, but I like stuff that is not necessarily pretty, but attractive to look at from either a composition standpoint or a color or a topic. Or there's just a great story behind it. I mean, that's part of the fun too.
It's not any one thing, so that's the first thing to consider, is that you're not looking for one perfect thing. You're looking for elements that'll work well together. So trying to keep your images to maybe one busy element, and then everything else, either simple, geometric, a texture to overlap. It's really about balance. And so I've done this treatment with people as well, so portraits. It's the same thing. You want to have the person, and then you maybe find a texture or a geometric element, something to overlap it. But you want to make sure you have a focus at all times. So it gets challenging when you're overlapping on the fly, but keeping in mind light and dark and texture and shape, and to have everything flow together. This definitely works best outside. I do have lights that I can attach to this camera, but that involves a huge setup, and it's not nearly as spontaneous as if I can just go out and shoot. So if I can use natural light, that's usually more fun for walking around. I can't just go inside and start shooting. I have to have a flash because this camera doesn't have controls like some other cameras. So I have to find my conditions or make my conditions, and it's most of what I have here is actually just outside as I'm walking around, and definitely urban. That's where you find the most textures and variety, I guess. If you're out in the woods, you're going to shoot a lot of nature, but I don't think this quite works as well with that type of environment.
It's mostly all constructed pieces that I do. In other words, they are put together like carpentry. It's called slab building. I am very much someone who is interested in writing. So all these things are exemplars of the imagery that writing, whatever the writing is, brings to you. Some of the work at the back has Japanese writing on it, and you can't read it, but the visual aspect of writing is what I'm interested in. Therefore, the meaning that you're giving is not the literal meaning that the writing has, it's the visual meaning. Americans mostly don't read Japanese. This is cuneiform. Writing is very interesting, just as the marks of the hand, the cave paintings, what you do with your hand, and its visual power. The interpretive power comes afterwards, but it's what you mean, what you make of it. So in other words, I like writing as something that is known as asemic. without the immediate semantic content, with an asemic or asemantic content, which is all the imagination brings to it.
Sometimes when I first started, I start from scratch. So with paintings like these ones with the lines, usually I'll maybe sometimes see the color in my head, or I'll be doodling and I'll see, actually sometimes like I'll have 3 markers laying next to each other and there'll be 3 good colors. And for some reason I think 3 is a really strong number. If you can get 3 colors to match and outline them in black, then you have a good set of colors, it's a good something to work with there. And I started one of those pieces like that and it turned out really nice. And then so it just added red, white, and black, where I thought that would be good. Maybe just leave the center white. I did red, white, and blue, kind of like the American color, or blue, white, red is like the France flag. So then I just go from there, really. If it's just like I'll think it looks good, so I'll try it. That's pretty much what happens. I'm heavily influenced by graffiti. I don't do a lot of graffiti myself, but I'm heavily influenced by it, so I'm a big fan. So, and I'm kind of a night owl, so I like being able to quietly, when I use a lot of supplies from graffiti sites, like Art Primo or Bombing Signs, these Molotov markers, so it's kind of related a little bit to that sort of setting. They fit nicely in that setting. And I love buildings, I don't know why, so I love drawing buildings, but I love video games too, so I'll implement video games. So I have like this weird, probably mesh of like video games and graffiti and then abstract art. If we could take those 3 things, that would probably, not just those 3, but yeah, something like that, you know, I guess. Not to break it down too much, but I love cartoons, love animation and all that, yeah. I love just creative, anything that's creative I think is great, you know. I've been skateboarding for many years, so I think that there's something when you're skateboarding, you know, it's almost like when you're younger, it's kind of like destroy, and there's a spontaneity that has to happen when you skate. You kind of know what you're doing, but it's always a little different and you're never sure you're going to land. So with the painting, there's some of that. Even though some of these take a lot of time, none of them are really pre-planned. Only every once in a while do I have an idea, except for the color itself. Once I start doing it, if it looks good, we'll stick with that color, but then we just go everywhere. We kind of just go everywhere. It's kind of funny because these are kind of in the lines, and then some of them, other paintings, you can tell they're still wild. There has to be something wild. It can't just stay stagnant, you know. It has to be fun. I keep going note by note, really. So I keep getting invited to different shows, and I really like that. Yeah, it feels good just to paint in general. So I don't know about long-term future. I really don't know, but I hope that I can just keep going and selling them and stuff. And you know, it's reassuring sometimes when you sell them. It's nice. If someone wants to buy them, and then they have them, and now I'm working on one for someone in France. So someone in France is going to have one. They want one, and you know, so that's cool. You know, so maybe just keep doing that. I guess.
It all started back in like 2010. I was a curatorial intern on the Smithsonian Hyperbolic Crochet Coral Reef, and that's where all of this kind of started for me, becoming, you know, like a community-driven fiber artist. And I've done lots of fiber art projects within the DMV, with the Smithsonian and the Arlington Art Center, the Torpedo Factory, you name it. And I also show like my individual work in different galleries. This one is 2 giant caterpillars. One is about 75 feet long. The other one is 80 feet plus. I'm not exactly sure yet. And they're 2 adorable caterpillars, and they're following each other. It's a 200 long fence with a bus stop in the middle, so they'll be divided by the bus stop. And it's called, the work installation's titled Scooching Down the Avenue 2 by 2, and it's just kind of a fun, whimsical piece of art. When I saw the proposal and it was a 200 long fence, that's a lot of ground to cover. Right. So I decided to do caterpillars because I could utilize the majority of the fence without completely covering it in like a sheet of yarn. So, and the caterpillars, you know, they go up and they go down, they wiggle, and they've got wavy little feet on them and a whimsical little smile. So I like all kinds of reactions. Usually it's surprise because people aren't used to seeing yarn, and that, you know, they're used to seeing an Afghan on the, you know, laying across their couch or something, and then all of a sudden they see trees wrapped, or they see fun, whimsical, bright colors. So it really changes the landscape for a temporary period of time. And my art style is very happy and whimsical, fun and silly. So I usually get really positive reactions. Even the ones where people are just like, "What?" I mean, it's still fun. Like, you know, I welcome, because that means they're engaging. That means they're thinking about it. Yarn bomb's actually categorized as a graffiti art.
Right.
So it's kind of a street art where typically yarn bomb's done kind of under the cover of darkness, and somebody will wrap like a park bench or something without permission, but it's still kind of fun, and you know, it's great to kind of see things pop up as a surprise. But it's starting to evolve, at least in our area, where it's more planned and organized, and it's really become a community involvement event. So although this one is a solo job, it's become a community art as well. I really try to be non-wasteful artist. Yarn is expensive, and it needs to be reused. I'm all about recycling and reuse. So usually when I design my installations, I do keep in mind what I can do with the art or the pieces afterward. So this is acrylic yarn. It's pretty much indestructible. So the way this caterpillar is designed, it has, you know, like two different shapes. So it has squares and it has arches. So I'll disassemble it and then wash it up really well, reassemble it into, you know, like little baby blankets. I'll assemble the squares together and even the arcs together, and, you know, create cute little bright colored baby blankets to be donated. I just recently finished one right before this. If you guys remember, DC had their first festival called By the People, and so I curated a large yarn bomb for the By the People Festival, and it was given by halcyon.org, and they're based in Georgetown. But the festival took place over 6 different locations in DC, and the location I yarn bomb was out at the old Walter Reed Hospital in Ward 4 in DC, and we wrapped a bunch of really gorgeous old trees on the property. And just like this one, I'm in the process of washing those pieces up and recycle them into blankets for a homeless shelter in Ward 4.